The puppeteers behind the curtain. How the Israel lobby and the cabal captured America's political class. In the theater of American politics, Donald Trump rose to power promising to be the great disruptor, a billionaire outsider who would break the grip of globalist elites and return sovereignty to the American people. But beneath the bombast and slogans like America First, Trump's presidency revealed a starkly different reality, one in which the very same forces he claimed to oppose were the ones pulling his strings. Far from resisting the influence of globalist neoconservatives and foreign lobbies, Trump embraced them, especially the most powerful foreign policy force in Washington, the Israel lobby. The Israel lobby, power without borders. The Israel lobby, composed of groups such as AIPAC, American Israel Public Affairs Committee, the ADL, the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, and a web of PACs and think tanks, exerts immense influence over U.S. lawmakers. This lobby does not operate as a traditional foreign interest group. It functions more like a shadow government that dictates both foreign and domestic policy, without ever being elected. One need look no further than the 2017 move of the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, a unilateral decision that not only isolated America from its European allies, but openly endorsed Israeli occupation policies. Trump, hailed by Netanyahu as the greatest friend Israel has ever had in the White House, handed over a symbolic and strategic victory with zero benefit to the American people. It was not a negotiation, it was obedience. In exchange, the U.S. got nothing but deeper entanglement in Middle Eastern conflicts, continued support for billions in annual military aid to Israel, and a trail of broken promises to his own base, especially on foreign policy restraint. Bipartisan capture, the buying of Congress. But Trump is not an isolated case. The American legislative arm, both Democrat and Republican, has long been co-opted by the Israel lobby and the financial power behind it. In 2018 alone, pro-Israel lobbying groups spent over $22 million on lobbying Congress, with campaign donations and threats of political retaliation used to shape the votes of U.S. lawmakers. The anti-BDS laws passed in over 30 U.S. states, many of them unconstitutional, show just how far Israel's influence has reached, even into domestic American civil liberties. In 2023, when a few members of Congress tried to oppose additional military aid to Israel, they were immediately branded as anti-Semitic and faced smear campaigns funded by lobbying groups. The message is clear: oppose Israel, and your political career ends. This dynamic illustrates that the legislative branch is no longer an organ of representation. It has become a vassal state within a state. The cabal behind the lobby, beyond national interests. It would be naive to think this is only about Israel or its survival. What we are witnessing is a cabal, a transnational, supranational alliance of bankers, defense contractors, media barons, and intelligence operatives, using the Israel lobby as a proxy tool to steer American power toward global domination, regime change, endless wars, and the financialization of the global economy. Trump's supposed opposition to the deep state evaporated when he surrounded himself with its most loyal servants. Jared Kushner, who had long-standing ties to Israeli political and financial elites, Sheldon Adelson, his biggest campaign donor and staunch Zionist, John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, and Steven Mnuchin, a Goldman Sachs alum and architect of pro-Wall Street deregulation. When Trump assassinated Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in 2020, the justification given was murky and later proved weak, but the real motivation became clear when Netanyahu immediately praised the strike. American soldiers were put in harm's way once again, not for U.S. interests, but for Israeli strategic gains. Economic parasite, not partner. While Americans face collapsing infrastructure, soaring healthcare costs, and inflation, Israel continues to receive $3.8 billion per year in unconditional military aid. The American taxpayer is, effectively, subsidizing a foreign country with a higher GDP per capita than many U.S. states. This isn't partnership, it's parasitism. Moreover, the economic sanctions and tariffs imposed under Trump's administration, especially on Iran, Syria, and even Turkey, were crafted to weaken states that oppose Israeli regional hegemony. These sanctions hurt American businesses, raised oil prices, and destabilized the global economy, yet they were pushed through by think tanks and lobbyists aligned with Tel Aviv. Conclusion: a republic hijacked. The United States is no longer a sovereign republic. It is an occupied political zone, remote-controlled not by the American electorate, but by a tightly knit, ultra-funded cabal that uses Israel as a shield, the Israel lobby as its sword, and Washington, D.C. as its puppet theater. Trump was not the solution. He was a diversion. Like Biden, Obama, and Bush before him, he served the interests of foreign lobbies and global elites while feeding the public empty nationalist slogans. In reality, the American political machine has been hijacked, and unless the citizens awaken to who truly controls their nation, they will continue to pay, through taxes, through war, and through the silent erosion of their freedoms.